Very special day today, Rosh Chodesh Elul, the beginning of the week. Very, very special day. What we're going to do today is we'll talk a little bit about Rosh Chodesh Elul and the month of Elul, and Rosh Hashanah, how to prepare to Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Then we'll make a short break, and Bezrat Hashem after that we'll talk about Shlom Bayit and marriage and all these important things, Bezrat Hashem. So first we want to dedicate the shiur to the birthdays of Rivka Bat Sarah and Mazal Bat Sarah. So Bezrat Hashem should have Shnat Hatzlacha, a successful year with health and happiness and nachat, parnasa, everything should be in an abundance. And we're not going to start mentioning names because that will take the whole shiur, but whoever needs refuah should have refuah, whoever needs Shlom Bayit, Bezrat Hashem should have Shlom Bayit, Parnasa, all the good things. Bezrat Hashem after the shiur we'll do maybe some dedications. But since we're short on time, we'll get straight to the point. So today is a very special day. It's Rosh Chodesh Elul. We have 40 days now before Yom Kippur. Today was the first time that we blow the shofar after Ripei Shacharit. And this is the day where we start getting ready for the new year. The entire year we live on autopilot. We wake up in the mornings, we go to work, we have to pay the mortgage, we have to worry about many things. And our focus is about running our life. And secondary is Avodat Hashem. So first it's more important for me to go to work and to do things like this. Then, if I have time, I'll learn something. Or if I have time, I'll go to pray in the minyan. Really, the main part of our life is serving God. And if I put all my focus on serving God, then everything else just falls through and becomes much easier. But the reality is that we're human, and during the year, I'm busy with many other things. But then, a couple weeks before Rosh Hashanah, suddenly everybody's like, oh wow, Rosh Hashanah is coming. Now I want to get a new bracha, because on Rosh Hashanah we know we get the bracha for the entire year. Then people start getting their act together. And right after that, of course, comes Yom Kippur, which many people, they depend their atonement, their kapara on Yom Kippur. A lot of people say, okay, all year I'll do whatever I want, and Yom Kippur I'll fast and I'll say sorry and I'll do my Chuva, and Bezrat Hashem HaKadosh Baruch Hu will forgive everything. The reality is that Yom Kippur is not enough to do Chuva, because how can a person do Chuva in one day for an entire year? I don't even remember what I did last week. How can I do Chuva for what I did something 9 months ago? So the Kadosh Baruch Hu gave us the special day of Yom Kippur. This is what's called Gemara Kapara, the end of the atonement and the end of the Slicha. But I have to do Tshuva my entire year. I have to do Tshuva on Rosh Chodesh for the entire month. And I do Tshuva on Erev Shabbat on Friday evening for the entire week. And I do Tshuva for the day, at the end of the day in Kriyat Shema Lamita. And if I do Tshuva every day and every week and every Rosh Chodesh, Yom Kippur is just the end. I just polish everything up and I'm done. But since we not necessarily are holding in that place that in my entire year I did Tshuva, so the Kadosh Baruch Hu says, okay, now I'm giving you 40 days. 40 days that it's easy to do Tshuva, it's easy to approach the Kadosh Baruch Hu. We know that in this month, there's a concept that is called the king is in the field. The same way that a king is all day long sitting in his palace. Now, to get an appointment with the king, you have to go through the secretary, and you have to wait a couple months, and you have to have a very good reason why you need to meet the king, and you have to pay money, and not easy to see the king. And right before Rosh Hashanah, the king goes out for his business tour, and when he comes back, on the way to the palace, he has to cross through the town. And when he's crossing through the town, then everybody can come and greet him. And then it's very easy to access. Look, for example, now, in a month and a half, there's elections. Donald Trump was here, 2 days ago? 3 days ago? Everybody can come and shake his hand. He's smiling to everybody. He's everybody's best friend. If he gets elected in a month and a half, he doesn't know who you are. Forget about talking to you. So I'm just saying Donald Trump, all the presidents, that during the time of the election, they're very good friends. They come, they shake your hands, they come to the street, everybody can approach them and talk to them. And this is not to chas v'shalom compare a president to the Kadosh Baruch Hu, but in the month of Elul, the Kadosh Baruch Hu is doing his campaign and he's going into his palace and he's crossing the town. And everybody can come and approach the king. Then, of course, on Rosh Hashanah, he goes into his chamber, and once he's in his chamber, nobody can go in anymore. On Rosh Hashanah, if you look at the prayers, the entire prayer, we're crowning God. We're making him our king. And the entire week it's more than a week, it's 10 days, even in our prayers, we constantly say HaMelech, HaMelech, the king. This is the time when we're crowning God and we're making him our king. So during these 10 days, it's not so easy to approach. More than that, on Judgment Day, on Yom Kippur, then, they open all the books, everything I did the entire year, the good and the bad. Now then, that's already, the Kadosh Baruch Hu is sitting like a judge. Then there's going to be judgment. Then I'm going to see all the good things that you did. I'm also going to see all the bad things. There's going to be all the mekatrigim, all the prosecutors, they hold all the bad things that we did. Now there's going to be a whole trial. So I want to access the king when he's easy to go and talk to. Not when he has a whole line of guards and prosecutors in front of him that will stop me from going there. And this is the whole month of Elul. That the king is in the field. It's very easy to access the Kadosh Baruch Hu. You just walk out and you shake his hand. And this is why we have 40 days to do Chuva. On Rosh Chodesh Elul, Moshe Rabbeinu went up to Shamayim for the second time to get the Torah, and he came down on Yom Kippur. That's why we have these 40 days. 40 days of Slicha v'Kapara, of atonement and forgiveness. And this month is a very powerful month to, in very simple words, to get my act together. Because in 40 days, I'm going to be standing in front of the king on my judgment day. In 30 days is Rosh Hashanah. That's when everything is decided. Who's going to live, who's going to die, who's going to be rich, who's going to be poor, who's going to be healthy, who's going to be sick. Everything is decided on Rosh Hashanah. And then, of course, I have the whole year to materialize it, to bring it down to the world, and to actually transform the bracha that I got on Rosh Hashanah from the spiritual to the physical. So a lot of people think that if at the end of the year they do the taxes and they only made $80,000, so they're saying, oh, this year I didn't have a good bracha. No. If you would know how much bracha in Parnassah the Kadosh Baruch Hu gives you, we're all millionaires. Millions and millions. The only problem is that now Kadosh Baruch Hu says, okay, I'm writing you now a $20 million check. But I'm like the lottery. I don't give it in one shot. You get it in increments. Now you got the bracha in the spiritual, and now you have to start materializing it. You have to bring it down from the spiritual world into the physical world. And you do it every day when you pray. Every day when a man prays 3 times a day, it's when he brings down the spiritual bracha into the world. That's why you look at the prayer of Shmona Esrei, it's all about physical things. You give me health, and parnassah, and salvation. And a woman also has to pray. Women have to pray at least once a day. If somebody tells you women are exempt from praying, then it's not true. Women have to pray, have to. They can choose which one, and they're not bound to time. I mean, a man, if he doesn't pray shacharit in time in the morning, he can pray in the afternoon. And you can pray mincha in the morning. There's times. A woman is not bound to the time, and she can choose whichever prayer she wants to do. She has a lot of work to do and kids, so she doesn't do a shacharit, so she'll do mincha or arvit. But a woman has to pray. And that's the time when you bring the bracha down into the world. Every day, one payment, another payment. So in essence, in Rosh Hashanah, everybody gets an unbelievable abundance of bracha. Now I gave an example just with parnassah. It's with everything. With health, with shlom bayit, with the chinuch of the kids, with the yirat shamayim of the kids, the God-fearing that's going to be in the kids. So Rosh Hashanah is the most important day. People think that Yom Kippur is the most important day. Rosh Hashanah is the most important day to approach the king and to ask for whatever I need. But Hashem is so kind that He's giving me 30 days before Rosh Hashanah to really get my act together. And the reason for that is because Yom Kippur will only forgive sins between me and the Kadosh Baruch Hu. If I desecrated Shabbat, then my business is with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. And if I didn't say Birkat HaMazon, that's my business with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. But if I hurt another person, Kadosh Baruch Hu says, there's nothing to do with me. You appease that person. I'm nothing to do here. That's why Yom Kippur will only forgive what's called Ben Adam LaMakom, between me and the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Ben Adam LeChavero, between me and another person, Yom Kippur does not help. You can fast 40 days. It's not going to help. And the Kadosh Baruch Hu even says, if somebody out there is upset at you and didn't forgive you, don't come even to shul. I'm not going to forgive you. I can't forgive you if there's a Jew out there, and believe it or not, also a non-Jew, that is angry with you. You do 40 days tshuva, and you make everybody happy, then you come to my shul and I'll forgive you for what you did in front of me. But if you don't do that, I'm sorry, I can't help you. So Yom Kippur only helps between me and the Kadosh Baruch Hu, Ben Adam LaMakom, and only for basic sins. For severe sins, that the result is what's called karet, or mita b'dei shamayim, death by the heavenly court, or karet, that the whole neshama gets cut off, Yom Kippur doesn't help for that. Yom Kippur will establish the beginning, but then the person has to go through what's called hardship, Yesurim. When the Kadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm going to give you now 40 days to get your act together. 40 days that every day you can do tshuva. So every day in the month of Elul, I do tshuva for 1 day. So today is Aleph Elul. I can do tshuva for all the Aleph of all the months. Aleph Tishrei, Aleph Cheshvan, Aleph Kislev. Tomorrow is Bet Elul. I can do tshuva for every bet of every month of the year. And that's what I have to concentrate on. And then comes the end of Elul, the last 12 days of Elul, from Yudchet Elul, which is the birthday of the Baal Shem Tov. And that's when we start doing tshuva every day, so it's 1 month. So Yudchet Elul, I do tshuva for Tishrei. Yutet Elul, I do tshuva for Cheshvan, and so forth. And then the last week of Elul, I do tshuva for every day of the week. So the Sunday before Rosh Hashanah, I do tshuva for all the Sundays. Then Monday for all the Mondays. Now the easiest way to explain it, because a lot of people say, what do you mean to do tshuva? What do I need to do? Okay, I got the point that in 40 days I'm under a microscope and they're going to dissect my behavior, and now they're going to decide what's going to happen with me. I understand that, fine. And I understand I have to say sorry to everybody, but how do I really do tshuva? So, take an example from the real world. In the real world, when a person has a business, he runs his business 24 hours a day. If you look how a person runs his business, that's how you have to serve God. That's why it says in the bracha that we say in the morning about learning Torah, it says la'asok b'Torah. La'asok comes from the word esek. Esek is a business. Because alevai, I wish that people will deal with their avodat Hashem how they deal with their business. In the business, they go there at 6 o'clock in the morning, they'll stay till 10 o'clock at night. They count their money 4 times a day. If a person will run his life serving God how he runs his business, then he will be a very successful person. Now, what's the basic thing you do in a business? You make an account. You constantly make account. So I always teach how important it is to say Kriyat Shema L'Amita, because Kriyat Shema L'Amita, you finish the day, you finalize the day, you do tshuva for the entire day, and I compare it to a business owner that leaves the business that day. He counts the money at the end of the day. I never seen any business owner that says, okay, let's count it at the end of the week. Business owner closes the register and he counts the cash. Let's see. And then he counts it another 2 times to make sure, because he wasn't so happy with what came in. And then he lets somebody, the partner, you count it too. But you count it at the end of the day. So the same thing with Kriyat Shema L'Amita, which is the most important time to do tshuva, is you count your mitzvot that day, and you count chas v'shalom your averot that day. And if you do tshuva every day, at the end of the night in Kriyat Shema L'Amita, Yom Kippur is just a vacation. You don't have to do anything. You just have to fast, read from the book, and that's it. So the same way that a business owner doesn't account at the end of the day, More than that, once a year comes the time of taxes, then the business owner goes through all the expenses. How much I put into advertising, how much I put into marketing, how much workers I have, maybe I can cut a little bit from this budget, maybe I can put more budget into this and that. I need to see where my business is doing. You go sit with the accountant tells you, listen, this year wasn't so good. Why wasn't so good? Oh, maybe we can start budgeting my business different. Maybe I'll put more advertising, maybe I'll do more marketing. So business owner, his cause is to make money. Nobody opens a business for the sake of heaven. You do business because you need money. So you treat your Avodat Hashem like a business. So the same way that at the end of the year you do an account about your business, so at the end of the year, of the Jewish year, you do an accounting of your spiritual life. And you sit now and you're saying, okay, how was my budget for praying? How much budget did I put for praying? Did I really go to pray every day? And you make a list of everything. How much effort did I put into learning Torah? How much effort did I put into mitzvot? Did I really keep Shabbat every Shabbat? And if I did I really do it the right way? Did I really enjoy my Shabbat? Did I really beautify it with better food and better wine? How was I treating my community? How was I treating my wife? How was I treating my kids? You have to make an account. That's how it is to do tshuva. People think that tshuva is to close your mouth for a whole day, not to eat, and then cry in the synagogue. That's nice. But to do tshuva is to take a notepad and to go one thing after the other and start making a list. And you go one thing at a time, and when you come to do that, you take your ego and you leave him outside the door, because the ego is going to make you feel that everything's okay with you. Oh no, I was good the whole year. I was amazing. What are you talking about? I gave $18 5 months ago to charity. I didn't hurt anybody. They all hurt me. They all have to come now and knock on my door to apologize to me. So that's if you bring your ego to this meeting. But you leave your ego outside and you make a whole list. And you go one thing after the other. And the first thing you want to make is you want to make an account. How are you between you and another person? Don't worry about the cheshbon with the Kadosh Baruch Hu now. First with me and another person. So you start in your close circle. So you start, okay, how did I treat my wife the entire year? Or my husband? And then my kids, then my parents, then my brothers and sisters, then my coworkers, then my partner. And you slowly ripple out. And you sit by yourself in an honest way and you write down. And I told you to leave the ego out of the door, because you sit with yourself and say, was I really a good father? Now, you can't really remember what you did the entire year. You can know in general. The point is that you want to make an account, one section after the other, in order to point and be very honest with yourself where you failed. Because we all fail. And that's why I told you, if your ego is with you, you're not a failure, you're good. Move the ego out, you'll see that you fail everywhere. Now, I'm not saying it in a negative way. We all fail. We're human. God gave us the opportunity to fail, or the ability to fail, so I can realize that I did a mistake and rise above my ego and say, I was wrong. That's the greatness of a human being. That he can realize that he did something wrong and admit it. And the one who doesn't admit it, then he stays in a very low level. So the entire month of Elul, that's what you want to do. You want to crush your ego and say, okay, you know what, I wasn't a real good boss. I wasn't a real good employee. I wasn't really honest. Maybe I was lying a little bit with my hours. I'm supposed to work 8 hours a day. Here I took a few minutes out. Here I took a few minutes out. That's stealing, basically. An employee that works for somebody, and the contract or the agreement says you have to work for 8 hours, and every second day I go 15 minutes earlier. If I don't have permission from my boss, that's gezel. That's taking away from my boss. That's very severe. It's even worse than stealing. And a lot of people don't think, oh, man, big deal. I worked there for 20 years, so I went 10 minutes before the time. No, you owe that time for the boss. If he says, fine, finish your work and go, it's a whole different thing. So you want to start making one account after the other. The first you want to do between one person to his friend. So you start with your close circle. But your relationship with your boss, doesn't matter if he's a non-Jew. A lot of people tell me, oh, my boss is not Jewish, I don't care. Doesn't matter. There's no difference if the boss is not Jewish or Jewish. If you owe that individual or the company hours, even if it's a multi-million-dollar company, I have a student that works for AT&T or one of these big phone companies, and it keeps telling me, they're such a big company. Does it really matter? I tell him, yeah. Even if they make $100 billion a year and you stole 2 cents from them, you still stole. It doesn't matter how much you stole. It's the fact that you stole. And of course, once you continue this in this list, first you want to take care between Adam lechavero, between me and another fellow person, because that's the time that I can actually go and approach that person. And I approach this person and says, I'm sorry, I didn't talk to you nice, I didn't treat you nice, I said bad things about you, I'm going to work on myself, blah, 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 blah. The point is that a lot of people don't have the guts to do it, which is understandable. I understand. It's not so easy to approach somebody and say, I admit that I was wrong, and I'm going to work on myself, and help me work on myself, and so forth. But since I told you that this month is such an auspicious time, not only that the king is accessible and you can go to the king and talk to the king directly, when you go to approach another person, the shine of the king is shining in the world, that if you approach a person now, he'll be more easy to forgive you. So it's much easier now to approach another person. Besides that person also wants to do his Chuva. And he says, okay, so the whole year I was very tough with my approach. I also need to do Chuva. I need to get on Hashem's best side, so I'll be a little bit more forgiving this month. But this is the month that you want to, square things away. And then of course you do an account between you and the Kadosh Baruch Hu. First you do between you and another person. And you want to make this list very thorough, and you want to make sure that you don't forget anyone. And a lot of people, they do these massive texts. They text everybody, if I forgive you, if I hurt you, please forgive me. I mean, that's not the real thing. You approach the person. Now you know exactly who you hurt and who you did wrong to. If you don't, then you go to people individually, listen, you're my neighbor, I don't know, if I said something, then please forgive me. Yeah, you do that. There's nothing wrong with doing that. But then you come with you and the Kadosh Baruch Hu, and you start making an account. Was I really a good Jew in front of the Master of the universe? Do I really pray to him, or do I just mumble what says in the Siddur? Or I check my phone while I'm in the synagogue? Do I really, really do what he tells me? And then you start making an account between you and the Kadosh Baruch Hu. And now it's a very auspicious time to approach the Shem and tell him, listen, I know it was hard for me. I know I said here and there some bad things. I know here and there I didn't really believe in you. The point is that you want to make tshuva with yourself. And you want to make sure that you're approaching the month, that the entire month you put a little bit of more effort to do tshuva. Why? Because when comes Yom Rosh Hashanah, I know it sounds very superficial, but you do want to get the blessing of the Kadosh Baruch Hu in this year. And you want to stand in front of Kadosh Baruch Hu clean and say, listen, I did my part. Yeah, I'm human. I have a Yetzer Hara. I know I'm not perfect. Sometimes just admitting and acknowledging that I'm not perfect, that's enough. Kadosh Baruch Hu says, I know I send the Yetzer Hara to you. I know when you wake up in the morning, he's the one who tells you, go back to sleep. But at least be a man and admit it. Well, if you're a woman, be a woman and admit it. But you know what I mean. The point is that most people are not willing to admit that I did something wrong. So you want to take this entire month as an opportunity to really look inside yourself and clean yourself out and do tshuva. First of all, and most important, could very much be that this is it, the last Rosh Hashanah. Mashiach is coming. B'ezrat Hashem, he'll come way before Rosh Hashanah. But if Chas v'Shalom he decides to wait a little bit longer, this might be the last Rosh Hashanah. So I know many people say it every year, Mashiach is coming, Mashiach is coming. But we're very, very close. So you want this to be even more specific than the rest of the years. Now another thing that you want to take into consideration in the month of Elul is that I have the opportunity to really get closer to the Kadosh Baruch Hu. The Yetzer Hara in the month of Elul is a little bit under the leash. Hashem is holding him back a little bit. Usually the entire year there'll be a lot of fight with the Yetzer Hara, a lot of resistance. Now the Kadosh Baruch Hu says, okay, I want the Jews to do Chuva. He holds the Yetzer Hara a little bit back. You can put it to the test, and you'll see that in the month of Elul is not so harsh, the Yetzer Hara. But that's only if you're willing to do the effort. If a person is as lazy as he was the entire year, he's not going to feel the difference. But if the person today says, okay, today is Rosh Chodesh, today is a very auspicious time, it's a very holy day, it's a very special day. This is the day that Moshe Rabbeinu went up to the mountain. This is a day that marked in history a very powerful day to take on yourself to do tshuva. And when a person does that, and in their mind they're saying, okay, I have a whole month to work on myself now, and tomorrow I'll make sure that if I don't pray with minyanim, from tomorrow, a whole month I'm not missing the minyan. If I don't pray at all, then from tomorrow I start praying. And if today I don't do A, B, and C, now this month I'm going to do the best of my effort. And the advantage of the month of Elul is that this month it's easy. Hashem says, you want to do tshuva? I'll help you. Our sages say, Habali itayer misayin lo. A person who wants to come and purify himself, this month we're going to get assistance. It's almost like, the entire year the credit card company is running after you and telling you, sending you letters, you owe us $50,000. And all day long you don't know what to do, how you're going to cough up this $50,000. And suddenly out of the blue they send you a letter and they're telling you, okay, we're willing to mark off half the debt. Just give us today $25,000. And we'll give you 4 payments. Just get it out. And you're like, ooh, wow, that's an auspicious time to knock it out. So the same way, the whole year you're fighting with your spiritual debt and your hard work. Now Kadosh Baruch Hu says, you know what? I'll forgive 90%. I'll remove 90% of the pressure now. Just do A, B, and C. Take on yourself some extra mitzvot. Do a little bit extra this month, like coughing up the 25,000, which is half of the debt. It's hard. You don't have it, but you take loans and everything. It's a time. It's an opportunity. So the same way HaKadosh Baruch Hu now tells you, I'll remove 50%, 60%, 80% of your debt. I'm going to remove it. Just do this effort right now. Show me that you're really doing this effort. Do this effort, I'll come towards you. Because we're going to approach now Yom Kippur. If you're really going to see the indictment, you're going to faint. If you see the indictment of the prosecutors in Shamayim, of everything that I did this year, oy va'avoy, if I don't have the mercy of the Kadosh Baruch Hu.
What's an example of something to take on during this month?
I'll get to that in a second. But the answer is everything. I'll get to that in a second. The point is that if we would see the indictment, the prosecution that is against me for what I did the entire year, a person will fall in his spirit right away by saying, oh my gosh, look how many sins I did. Look how many bad things I did. How am I going to get forgiven for that? Here the Kadosh Baruch Hu is saying, I'll forgive 80% of your problems. Just prove to me this month you're willing to change it. Show me, and I'll go towards you. Like a parent that tells his child, the child says, I want you to buy me this expensive thing. So the parent says, okay, you know what? You work the entire summer, you make X amount of money, I'll pay the rest. But you have to make that certain amount of money, and I want to see you waking up every day and going to work. That's what my father used to do to me when I was a kid. I would ask for something. My father would tell me, no problem. You work, you earn this money, this amount, 20%, 30%. Already, if I see that you're putting all your effort, I'll pay the rest. So the Kadosh Baruch Hu says, now I'll give you a month now. You earn a certain amount. You take on yourself new things. I'll remove half of your debt. And I'll give you an unbelievable abundance of blessing, of bracha. And that's what we need to concentrate on this month. Now when you're asking, what do you have to take on yourself? I'm going to give you a short story that should answer you. A few months ago, one of my students who was born in a religious family that doesn't keep Shabbat, doesn't eat kosher, doesn't do anything. A few months ago, he gets an observation by a doctor that Hashem Yerachem, he has a tumor in his head. Young, 28. For 3 weeks, he was the tzaddik of the generation. First in line in the synagogue, 5 o'clock in the morning, he's there already. Not missing one minyan. Learning Torah. All his money goes to charity. He runs around the world apologizing to everybody. You need help? I'll help you. You need me to take you? I'll take you. What do you need? I'll do for you. 3 weeks, he was the tzaddik of the generation.
Misdiagnosed.
What?
Misdiagnosed.
3 weeks is the tzaddik of the generation, and I'm telling him, why? What's going on with you? Why? What's going on? So he tells me, listen, what are my options? I have 2 bad options. The first option is I'm going to die. I'm going to go up there now. I better clean my slate completely. I better come up there perfect. If not, I'm going to, what's going to happen to me up there? So that's my first bad option. And what's my other bad option? I don't want to die. I'm 28. So I need to get on Hashem's best side to convince him to do a miracle. And Bemet was a miracle. 3 weeks later, the doctor says, nothing. Everything is good. So for 3 weeks, he was the tzaddik of the generation, and I told him, you had to wait, you had to have a sword on your throat, telling you were about to die to get your act together. Pitom, you remembered after 28 years that there's a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Why? Because you got a threat? Because somebody told you you're about to die? So you were afraid of the consequences in Shamayim, or you were afraid of your life? That's what made you get up in the morning and stop to lie and cheat and do all these sins that you're doing? Why you had to wait for such news? The reality is that we, unfortunately, that's human nature, we don't move or do anything if there's no threat. That's the unfortunate nature of a human being. When there's a threat, then people start moving their tuchis. If you get an eviction notice, then you're like, okay, I gotta go make some money. Because if not, I'm going to be on the street.
Question is like, if person find out like, yes, I need to do this good thing on this year, okay, I have 4 years, but I promise I will do next year. It will be not
Promises are not good.
Not good.
Kadosh Baruch Hu says, don't promise, do.
Yeah, it's just a person knows. It's like, he need to do this before, and he knows this is like, he's in a checklist.
You know what's
But
a
he
promise?
says, I will do promise next
No.
year for sure.
No, you know what? Let's see somebody going to a boss and telling him, give me now $100,000. I promise you I'll do the job.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Go now to the bank and tell the bank, can you give me a $500,000 mortgage? I promise you I'm going to pay you. The bank is going to tell you, we don't take promises. We don't show me your paycheck, show me your credit, show me the house. I'm not taking promises. So the Kadosh Baruch Hu, even though the Kadosh Baruch Hu sees into the future and he knows what you're going to do, Hashem says, don't promise me 100%, do 10%. So promises don't work. Acts work. You see it many times in a relationship. Lo alenu, a husband and wife, they don't get along. And then the husband says, I'll change. Don't tell me I'll change. Change, then I'll believe. Don't tell me I will change.
Because he knows it's not good. Like
Promises is good, but human nature is you don't stand up to your promise. Yeah. Promises, they're not powerful. Our sages say, "Hamaaseh hu ha'ikar." Do, don't promise, don't say, don't think. So the thing is, what I said before with this young guy about that he took his Avodat Hashem seriously, is that unfortunately he had to get bad news to get his act together. The point is that you don't want to get bad news. Why have the attitude to push it till the end? Human nature has the nature to push it till the last minute and then to do it. The point to take from this is that, he left Chabad and he left. Paul, this is for you.
Well, I wanted to record, but...
Oh, don't worry, you have this recorded. What to take on yourself for the next year is everything. to say, what if now I would get some type of notification that I have 3 weeks? What would you do now, each and every one of you, if you would now get an email and telling you, in 3 weeks, you're going up? Chas v'shalom. Guarantee that every human being, the entire day will be different. Now, of course, we don't need to live in an attitude that maybe in 3 weeks I'm going. Some people live with the attitude that today I might be going. If you have an attitude, not in a negative way, but in a positive way, that maybe today is my last day in this world, how would you live your life? How would you live your life if you would know today is the last day? You would probably have the best day of your life. You would make sure that every second of this day is utilized to the right thing. And every meaning of yours is meaningful. And everything that you do, you pray, oh, I'm going to pray now with all my heart, not just to zoom through. So, if you want to look at it in a negative way, one might say, okay, it might be my last day. But turn it around and look at it in a positive way, saying, yeah, it might be my last day. How do I utilize my day perfectly? Now, to live in that level is not an easy level. To live by saying, how would I apply myself that this is my last day? This is not an easy level at all. But you want to have it in the back of your mind that how would I really behave if I had a very limited amount of time? Imagine now, chas v'shalom, you get subpoenaed to a court or something, for whatever, somebody is suing you. Till the date of the court, you do whatever you can to present the case to win it. Whatever the case may be, you'll go around in circles just to make sure that you're presenting the case the right way. So you are standing, you have a subpoena now to a court. In 30 days, you are subpoenaed to the Beit Din of Shamayim, to the court of the Kadosh Baruch Hu. You have to say, okay, how am I coming to the Kadosh Baruch Hu's court? Am I just like, or am I like, okay, let me take things serious? So when you ask what to add in this month, everything. Because if you now had to fight for your life, you wouldn't say, okay, let me just do 1, 3, 2, and 3, and I'm done. Like my student, he didn't say, okay, you know what, I'm about to die, so let me just go to Shiur Torah once a week. Every free second that he had, he was walking with a book of Tehillim. He barely slept. He was taking every little thing so serious, or he dies, chas v'shalom, or he needs to convince the master of the universe. The word he told me is, I need to be on Hashem's best side. So, it's not easy to live like that. This is a little bit fanatic, but you want to live in this way. Wait a minute, Hashem doesn't want discounts or promises. If it says in the Torah I have to do something, there's no difference between me or anyone in this room. If it says in the Torah I have to keep Shabbat, it doesn't say only Alon has to keep Shabbat. It says keep Shabbat. Everybody has to keep Shabbat. There's no discounts. It doesn't say if you're over the age of 50 and you live in Phoenix, you don't need to eat kosher. It says you have to eat kosher. That's it. So there's no really of a question, what should I take on myself? You read the Torah and you say the Torah applies to me exactly how it applies to you, exactly how it applies to you, exactly how it applies to you. There's no difference. Now if you're looking at the little details, don't look at the little details. You have to look at the mitzvot. Because a lot of people say, oh, I don't want a long beard. I don't want a black suit. You don't need a black suit. It doesn't say in the Torah black suit. You don't impress the Kadosh Baruch Hu if you have a black suit. He doesn't care if you have a black suit or a blue shirt. But what it says in the Torah, that applies for everybody. Now, to take on yourself the entire thing, that's not feasible even. But at least you say, okay, I can't do everything, but let me start. Let me start something. Let me start it and I'll try to do whatever I can. That's what the Kadosh Baruch Hu says. Just do a little bit of effort. I know you can't do everything, but start. Now to say I promise, why is I promise not good? Because I promise is not an action. A promise is theory. If you tell the Kadosh Baruch Hu, I promise in 4 months I'll start eating kosher, Hashem says, who says you're going to have 4 months? Maybe, I don't know what's going to happen in 3 months. But if you now say, okay, I can't do the whole kosher, but I'm stopping today not to mix meat and dairy. And in a week, I'll stop, I don't know, eating this type of animal. And in a week, I'll stop doing this. And in a week, then you do actions. You don't do the whole thing, but you show actions. Same thing with anything. A person says, I have a problem with lying. All day long I lie. okay, I'm taking on myself to stop lying. So today I lie 100 times, tomorrow I lie 99 times, the next day I'll lie 98 times, the following day I'll lie 97 times. At least the Kadosh Baruch Hu says, okay, he's trying. He's trying. So 90% he failed, 10 times he closed his mouth, he's like, oh, okay, I'm not. So Hashem is looking at the effort. That's why I told you promises are worth nothing. Now Kadosh Baruch Hu knows what we're capable of doing. You can't come and deliver everything. So when you ask, what do you take on yourself? You take on yourself the decision to try to do everything in the level of your capability. So you're saying, okay, I will try to come now and pray every day in a minyan. So if I never pray in a minyan, so start with 1 minyan. Then tomorrow I'll try 2. Besides that, this is the end of the race. You see in the marathon, now in the Olympics, you see them running and running. They're running like 40 circles, same pace. Suddenly the last circle, they're all speeding up. Why? It's the last circle. Now I have to give it the maximum I can. So you want on the last month to take as much as you can. Exactly if somebody will come now and put on your door a notice, listen, there's an ultimatum. If there's no ultimatums, people don't do anything. If you owe me money, and every time I come and tell you what's with the money, yeah, I'll give it to you. And every time I just say, okay, whatever you have time or money, give it to me, you'll never pay me. But if I knock on the door and tell you, if you're not paying me in 30 days, I'm suing you. Or whatever. Then you go, oh, now I'm going to be sued now. Now I got to get my act together. So the point is that you want to try to take on yourself as much as you can, because you need to stand in front of the Master of the universe and impress him now. And it's not about impressing God. You don't impress God. But he wants to make an account and see, okay, I know you can't do 100%. Let me see how much effort you did to whatever you could. It's about the effort. You know what you get judged for? You get judged for how much effort you put into the mitzvah. And how much effort you put into not doing the sin. You don't necessarily judge for the sin. You judge for the effort. Now if you really try to wake up in the morning and you put 7 alarm clocks and you went to sleep early enough and you convince yourself, I'm waking up, and the Yetzer Hara shut you down, at least you did an unbelievable effort. Okay, so you was late half an hour. But you had the kavanah, the intention, I'm going to try. So of course you want to try to take on yourself as much as you can. This is like the last loop of the competition. You want to give it the best you can. You want to make sure that the effort is as much as you can. And you tell the Kadosh Baruch Hu, I'm not promising, here I'm doing. I'm going to do as much as I can.
Yeah? That's what
Everything.
If you do like everything, like what I did good one and what I did my last year bad one, promising will be no.
Yeah, you start taking on yourself. Yeah.
So what happened with this young man after he was...
What happened? He's learning Torah now. He took his life serious.
He changed?
I mean, the volume went off a little bit because there was less pressure. But now he prays 3 times a day and he learns Torah. He told me, I got the point. And I told him, why did you have to wait to have a knife here on your throat? But now he told me, I got the point. I mean, he's not perfect. It's very hard for him. He's not keeping Shabbat 100%, but he's making an effort. He comes to the shul.
So why doesn't God send more ultimatums?
Excuse me?
Why doesn't God send more ultimatums?
First of all, you are getting ultimatums. You're just not reading the email. Everybody gets ultimatums. You just don't want to open the mail. If you get the mail and you see the name of the credit card company on it, you're like, I'm not opening this letter because I know there's a bill. So God sends you ultimatums all day long. You just choose not to see them. More than that, the reason why God doesn't send so many obvious ultimatums, because the point is that He wants you to figure it out by yourself. And if you don't figure it out by yourself and do the effort by yourself, what type of a reward will He give you? It's almost like, my 5-year-old, he has this new thing that he's constantly asking these riddles. He makes up these funny riddles and he comes and asks you that. That's his new thing. So then he sells you, he's like, I'll give you a hint. You want a hint? But if I give you a hint, then you can't win the whole prize. Then he gives you all these hints. So the point is that if I start giving you too many hints, why will I give you the reward? It's like this game. They have a TV show that with the letters, you buy letters and then you can guess the name. The more... What? Wheel of Fortune? Baruch Hashem, I don't watch TV, the more you buy, the more they help you, the less your prize is. If you're able to guess it without, then your prize is bigger. So the Kadosh Baruch Hu says, listen, I don't want to be so obvious. If I'm going to put now a knife on your throat, what's the big deal? Chokhmah Gdolah, that you're taking the act, that you're doing something. Let's see you doing it without me forcing you.
And why did your friend get spared?
Why? I don't know why. There's no question. There's no answers. Why?
Some people get the wake-up call, and some people, they look at you, they know the story, but it doesn't wake them up. Why?
There's no answer why. The Kadosh Baruch Hu chooses who He presses. Kadosh Baruch Hu, the thing is that I see that everybody gets wake-up calls. They just don't realize it's a wake-up call, and it's not scary enough for them. Or it's not... The way how I see it, it's all priority. You have priorities. You're getting warnings all day long, but it's not in your priority. You're putting it in a second or third priority, so you're not willing to apply.
Do you mind sharing some examples of what you mean by warnings?
Examples for warnings? Everything. Every person is different. There's not really going to be a real, clear example, because every person, his warning will be different. One person will have 3 car accidents one after the other. I'm not going to get it. Some people will be like, okay, I got the point. Some people say, no, bad luck. So, one person, I have a person that I know, 3 times his house was robbed. Hello? You don't get robbed 3 times. Something's wrong here. Kadosh Baruch Hu is saying, now, some people it comes directly to them, sometimes it comes in a very external way. Now, the Kadosh Baruch Hu, when he wants to knock on your door, first he knocks very soft. So that will come in something not so obvious. Then when Hashem wants to get your attention, it will start touching your money. But it will come easy. A parking ticket, a flat tire, speeding ticket. If you don't get the point, then it will be something serious. Your whole ceiling will fall. Then, somebody will run, a truck, a semi-trailer will run into your car, smash it completely. And you see that the mammon, the money, slowly gets more and more. You don't get that, it will start affecting your body. So first you'll get the flu. Then you'll get an infection. Then, chas v'shalom, more. Then more. Then more. Then people get physically more hurt. Then you don't get the point, it will come into death. Anything around you. So Kadosh Baruch Hu is knocking on your door with increments of, let me do it first easy, let me see if you get it. Harder, let's see if you get it. Harder. The problem is that most people don't get it. Just yesterday we were in a lecture here, and this girl is dating a non-Jew. And everybody's telling her, dump him, you're Jewish, you're holy. What are you dating this guy now? So the Kadosh Baruch Hu was sending her a message after a message after a message, and last week, you know what message he sent her? She drowned. She drowned. Baruch Hashem almost drowned, but somebody pulled her out. If you don't get that as a message, you're blind. And some people don't get this as a message, as their nisayon. She, I think, maybe got it. But a lot of people, they don't see it. I have a friend who had 4 car accidents. Not really a friend, like one of my students. 4 car accidents. The first one, small. Okay, don't get it. The second one, a little bit bigger. The third one is already going to a crash. The fourth one was a serious crash. He didn't get hurt. He hit somebody. Worse. You get hurt, okay, it's your problem. Now you're responsible for somebody else. This is serious. He can go to jail. That person can sue him big time. If that person is not going to be healed, he's going to be in trouble. Now he got the point. So Hashem gives you unbelievable opportunities. It will come in your mammon, in your money. Here you lose something. Here the business deal doesn't work. You work 2 months on a deal. Deal doesn't work. Why? Hashem is telling you, taking your lollipop away from you.
And he can reward you as well, right?
Of course he rewards you. I'm now talking about the negative. When you do positive, listen, you have to understand God is not a tyrant. People say God punishes me. God is not a 3rd grade teacher that punishes you. God stands on the side and He tells you if you do an action, there'll be a reaction. The action will be positive, the reaction will be positive. The action will be negative, the reaction will be negative. I'm not punishing anyone. If you now go bang your head at the wall, you're going to get a headache. You can't blame the wall. You did a bad action, now you're suffering a bad reaction. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't punish anyone. You do good, of course Hashem rewards you. No question. No doubt that the HaKadosh Baruch Hu rewards you.
So on the previous lecture, I remember when you mentioned about GPS, that we all, study Torah when we are not born yet, and then at the end of our life we see our, beginning to the end and with the way we live our life. If Master wants us to be good, this is his goal, obviously. And we're not acting like what he wants us to do. Why not to program us to be good from the beginning to be done with that and not to...
Did you hear his question?
No.
I'm going to repeat the question because it's a very common question with a very simple answer. He's asking, if God wants us to be so good, why doesn't He program us to just be good? That would be the entire purpose of this world. Because the world was created because we had it like that. Hashem programmed us to be good. Before the world was created, everything was good. Hashem was just constantly showering us with bracha. And at some point the souls came to the Kadosh Baruch Hu and says, listen, we feel very embarrassed and very ashamed because you just give us and you give us and you give us. This is called...
It's not his mistake, it's programming mistake.
No, there's no problem in the program.
The program filter was wrong, something was wrong when he was doing it, or what?
There's no problem in the program.
Can I ask you a question? How many...
Let me first answer that question for him. So, the souls asked the Kadosh Baruch Hu, please, we want to earn this reward that you want to give us. We don't want to come and beg all the time to get what you want to give us. The Zohar calls it Nehama de Ksufa, bread of shame. So Kadosh Baruch Hu says, no problem. I'm going to create a world. I'm going to put you in this world. I'm going to give you a list of things to do, and you're going to earn the reward that you get. Now, if now everything would be obvious, what's the reward? Why would I give you a reward? So Kadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm going to give you challenges. I'm going to make you choose between good and bad, and you're going to get rewarded according to what you chose. So if I program you to be all good, that's, it's beating the point, the game of this world. The point is the Kadosh Baruch Hu put in front of us what's called free choice. He gives you, here's good, here's bad. You choose. You choose good, it says in the Torah very clearly. You choose good, you choose life. You choose bad, you choose the opposite of life. So the game of this world is that you have to choose what you want to do. Of course the Kadosh Baruch Hu wants you to do good. But it's like betting, it's like a bet. But the reality is that we are programmed to choose between the good and the bad, and you choose whatever you want. Only because the Kadosh Baruch Hu wants to reward you. If he would just wanted to give it to you, he doesn't need to create the world. That's how we were before the world was created. We were sitting in front of the Kadosh Baruch Hu just enjoying the reward of the Kadosh Baruch Hu. An unbelievable abundance of blessing. We didn't have to go and work. We didn't have mortgages. We didn't have to have bills. We had everything. But we requested, we told the Kadosh Baruch Hu, please reward us. We want to work for it. So the Kadosh Baruch Hu says, no problem, I'll make you. So all these challenges that we have is for us to earn it. That's why we're not programmed. What's your question?
How many good religious people you know who has no cancer, no traffic accident, who has no any health or legal or whatever family problem, who was living 200 years or 120 years, who really get to that point? Do you have anyone who can be awarded?
It doesn't matter. Did you hear the question?
Yes.
It doesn't matter how many, because this is a very bad human character trait, is to make how many's. Look at yourself. Don't look at everybody else. To make a list of how many this, how many that, that's a very, very wrong way of approaching it. Just focus on me. It's almost like me saying, it's not fair. Look how many people, if I'm single, it's very not fair to say, look how many married people are there.
It's not your logic. Your logic was just now comparing everything. You comparing, and when I ask you how you comparing, what's the result of your comparison? You said don't compare.
But
How
he
come?
means as if righteous
All
people
we
get
comparing
punishments
is-
too.
Even righteous people suffer. It has nothing to do if you're righteous or not. Because even, first of all, don't look, you said religious people when you started. Even religious people do bad things. They maybe do a lot of good things, but they also do a lot of bad things. Excuse me? Doesn't matter. Don't look at a person with a long beard and say he's so religious. Yeah, he has a beard. It's very easy not to shave. You save money on the Gillettes. So to have a beard is not a big deal. And to wear a black suit is also not a big deal. So it's not the right way to say, oh, he's so religious. No, even religious people steal and cheat and gossip and do bad things. The point is that if to answer your question flat, yeah, I know people, they live their life the right way and they don't have all these headaches. They might not have millions of dollars because people measure, a good life by money. But I know people that are simple. Yeah, I know simple people. They believe in God. They do what God tells them to do, and they have a nice, pure, simple, happy life. And you know where you find them? You find a lot of them in Israel because there's not a lot of materialism in Israel.
Because they live in shell. They just hide
No.
in shell. They don't.
No.
They don't watch TV. They don't listen radio. They don't participate.
First of all, no. But even if they live in a shell, but they have a good life. Even if they live in a shell, if a person chooses to live in a shell, but as a result, he has a good marriage, a good life, a good relationship, he's happy with what he has, so let him live in the shell.
They're in shell. How do we know? How we again can compare? Everything.
But it's not about comparison. But it's not about comparison. This is your mistake. No, your success is not measured by if you compare somebody else. That's a very wrong attitude. I don't measure my life according to other people's life, because my life will never compare to another person.
But you measuring the success, if you are not praying three times a day, then you're not praying enough. If I'm not praying, you measuring. What are you doing?
No, that's a totally different thing. I'm not measuring it.
Praying or not praying doesn't matter.
No, I'm not measuring it. Whatever the Torah tells me to do, I didn't tell you to pray 3 times a day. If it was up to me, I will tell you don't pray. But the Torah tells you, you have to pray. That's not me measuring it. If I'm telling you something, that's a whole different thing. Whatever the Torah tells you, then that you have problems, talk to the boss, not with me.
Okay, the major question, what are we doing? What's the point of everything? What is the point of our life? You're living here, you're supposed to pray, okay, you prayed, your friend wasn't praying, he was marked to die, he started to pray, and if this was punishment, what, I don't...
No, it has nothing to do with praying. He did much more than praying.
Like what?
He stopped cheating, and he stopped stealing, and he stopped looking at the wrong places.
I
And
don't steal, what's different?
okay, but are you saying that you're 100%?
No, but
Oh, so-
cheating, not stealing.
Okay, so I can give you now 400 things that you can choose which one of them are pertaining to you or not.
But when he was good, actually they said, okay, God said, okay, stay there.
I don't know what God said. I don't know what God said.
We're here in for punishment, correct?
No.
No?
No, you're distorting everything. First of all, he was doing a lot of bad things. Now, in Hashem's eyes, you don't know who's doing what. Could be that in Hashem's eyes, you're not cheating or stealing, but you're desecrating Shabbat and not eating kosher and whatever. I'm not saying you, I'm saying in general. Every person has his things. This particular person did a lot of bad things. The fact that he started praying, good, because you have to pray. That's why I said before, the Torah doesn't talk to individuals. The Torah says, keep Shabbat, everybody has to keep Shabbat. The Torah says, have to pray, everybody has to pray. The Torah tells you, don't cheat, everybody. It doesn't say in the Ten Commandments, don't steal if you live in the West Coast. Or don't steal between 2 o'clock in the afternoon to 7 in the evening. He tells you, lo tignov, don't steal. That means everybody is not allowed to steal. Now, each individual has his nisyonot. Each individual has what he has to deal with. It doesn't mean that it has to do with everybody. Now, to come and put things under a magnifying glass and says, oh, if I didn't do this, I didn't do that, that's the wrong attitude. Or how I call it, this is just excuses. Oh, I don't want to do this because this is this and this is that. The point is that The point is very, very simple. That we don't make up the rules. If I'm going to start making up rules or assumptions or calculations, or I'll start comparing. Nobody's asking me about comparisons. Nobody's asking me if I'm happy with the rules or not the rules. We're all equal and we all have to do what God tells us. If you chose to not to do it, do whatever you want. But don't complain when you're standing up there in front of Him and say, no, I did a comparison, and God is going to tell you, I didn't ask you to do a comparison. So the point is that you have to be true to yourself. Not to impress anyone. You have to be true to yourself. If you come to the point that you don't want to do certain things, just be true to yourself and saying, I don't want to do it. And one day I will.
What is the rules to do or not to do? You said yourself, you can pray, it's called prayer.
The rules.
You can say it's no rules.
No.
Someone came and says that you need to wear tzitzit or not to wear tzitzit.
Not somebody said that, the Torah said that.
Dictate different rules.
No.
And not even paper which will,
No, the Torah has the rules. No, the Torah gives you the rules, and no man or somebody came and said, go to the Torah. Don't say a man told you to wear tzitzit. A man told you to. No, everything is in the Torah. If you choose to ignore what it says in the Torah, I'm sorry to tell you, that's your problem. That's it.
Ignore it. It didn't say for me wear something or not to wear something. It didn't say exactly what.
Everything is very obvious in the Torah. You maybe choose not to see it or to agree with it, but the Torah says very clear. Anything you want to ask me, I'll show you where it says in the Torah. Everything. No man made any invention. The Torah says very clearly. And the Torah tells you, don't go to people, come to the Torah. If you choose to ignore the Torah, that's your issue. It's nobody else's issue. And I can tell you from first hand, if you choose to ignore the Torah, you will come to one point in your life that the Torah is going to be smacked in your face and says, you chose to ignore it. Now you take the consequences. And it's not going to be in this world, it's going to be in the world above.
You talk about some kind of punishment or
Not talking about punishment.
No choice to do something that people get on
No, you're taking my words and you're distorting them.
because they die. Yeah?
No, you're taking my words and you're distorting them, but bemet chaval, because there's 40 people here that want to hear Torah and not an argument. If you want to argue, we'll go outside and we'll argue. The people don't want to hear your argument.
No.
People want to listen to Torah and to get inspired. The Torah is very, very clear. Anyone who comes to fight and distort the Torah is going to have a problem at some point or another. And I'm not saying it of threatening, you're going to be punished. It's not about punishment. The Torah comes to help you. The Torah comes to guide you. The Torah is good for you. If you choose to ignore it, that's your problem. It's almost a little kid coming to his mother, and the mother tells him, don't eat this lollipop, don't eat this cake full of sugar, don't eat this junk. Eat tomatoes, eat the salad, eat the vegetables and the fruit. He says, no, it's not tasty. It's plain, it's not sweet. The mom says, I'm not arguing with you, this is good for you. And then the kid eats all the lollipops and then gets a stomach ache. Is the mother punishing him? No, you ate all this junk, now your stomach hurts you. God doesn't punish you, I don't punish you, nobody punishes you. God tells you, listen, this is the rules, follow the rules, everything will be okay. And it has nothing to do if somebody's righteous or not, if he goes into a car accident or not. He was asking, how do you see these signs? So I was giving him examples. You can choose to see a sign or not to choose a sign. You can be very religious and still have a car accident or go into debt. It has nothing to do with it. Kadosh Baruch Hu does not reveal himself to you, because if he would reveal himself to you, there wouldn't be a point of putting you here. He tells you, no, I'm not going to reveal myself to you. You find me. You figure it out by yourself. You would do the choice by yourself. And I'll help you here and there. Here and there, I'll throw you a smack to your face to wake you up. Like these devices now you have on the car, that if the car starts going off the track, it starts beeping. Same thing. You have these grids on the highway, that if you start getting off the highway, it starts making this noise. Kadosh Baruch Hu puts these grids next to you, that you start getting off the derech, I'll push you back. That's it. It's has nothing to do with the punishment. Kadosh Baruch Hu is not a third grade teacher. He doesn't punish anyone. And that's what I told him. You probably didn't hear. Hashem gives you a list, and he tells you, if you do this action, there's going to be a reaction. If your action is positive, the reaction will be positive. If your action is negative, the reaction will be negative. End of story. No punishments. Hashem is not a tyrant. And Hashem is doing you a favor, and he tells you, read my manual, do what is good for you. Like a nutrition. You can go now to a nutrition. The nutrition will tell you, stop smoking. Stop eating all the greasy food. Work out. Eat vegetables. And you know what you're going to tell him? No greasy food. Working out. Not smoking. No alcohol. I don't listen to you. And then the person gets sick after a year. Another person will go to the same nutrition and tell him the same list. He says, okay, I don't want to because I want to have fun, but I listen to you because I want to be healthy. End of story. B'ezrat Hashem, we should have a beautiful new year. Should be a successful year. Should be a year full of luck and parnasa and health and happiness and shlom bayit and yirat shamayim, and everything that you wish for yourself should be in an abundance of wealth and health, and in the spiritual level and the physical level, and we should merit to see the coming of Mashiach this year, and it should happen in chesed and rachamim.